Alright, so in this video, we're going to create an implementation class to show how to gather user inputs and then instantiate video game objects. Okay, this was requested in the live session, so I thought I'd go ahead and actually do this. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and create a new Java class. Alright, we'll call this video game implementation. Okay, and we'll do the public static void main string args. Okay. All right, so we know that we can create video game objects. Okay, we've got this empty argument constructor, and then we've got this constructor right here. Okay, but we first need to get information from the user in order to be able to populate one. Okay, so let's go ahead and do import javax.swing.star, so that'll give us the JOptionPane methods. Okay, so let's go ahead and collect the name equals JOptionPane, show input dialog, enter the video game name. Okay, and we can do the same thing for publisher. Okay. Publisher and enter the video game publisher. Okay. Now year is a little bit different because year is an integer, not a string. Okay, so we have to do a little bit of extra. So we'll just say int year equals, and then if we were to just do JOptionPane.showInputDialog, that would return a string, but we need an integer. So we have to add in this integer.parseInt business here. Okay, and then I'll copy the rest of this right there. Put in a closed parentheses here at the end and say year. Okay, and there'll be a similar issue with double or with price, because that's a double. So double price, but instead of integer.parseInt, we're going to do double.parseDouble. Okay, and we'll paste in that. All right, so we got year and price. Okay, all right, so now that we've got those, okay, we should be able to go ahead and instantiate a video game. All right, so we can say video game VG equals new video game. All right, and I could just call it with no arguments and then call all of the different setters, but why do that since I have this handy constructor? So I can just pass in name, publisher, year, and price. Okay? All right, so I should be able to compile and run that. Oh, I need to save the file first. Okay. All right, so enter the video game name, Metroid. Enter the video game publisher, Nintendo. Enter the video game year, 1987. And enter the video game price, $400. Okay. All right, now this is interesting. Because look, did you see? It gave me an error. And it said, Java illegal argument exception price needs to be between 10 and 70. Where did that error come from? Okay, well, we see that the error came here. The JGrasp takes us right to the error. Took us here to set price. Okay. Over here, when we try and initialize video game and call the video game constructor, okay, remember this constructor calls set price. And set price has this error check in here where it's looking to make sure that the value is between 10 and 70, okay? So we're going to have to handle that error, okay? The other potential problem that we have is over here for year. Suppose that instead of entering in a number, suppose that they entered in, you know, tree or cookie or something like that. If they entered in some text that's not an integer, then that would fail too, okay? So we need to actually put in some code to handle some of these cases. All right, so let's go ahead and We're going to add in a try catch block here for the year. Okay, and I'm going to add in individual try catch blocks. So I'm going to deal with each one of these inputs at a time. Okay, so I think what we'll do is we'll declare year outside of the try catch block. So we'll say int year equals 0. Okay, and then inside the try catch, we'll try and set it. Okay, but if we catch, there's some things we can catch. If we catch a number format exception, okay, so in other words, if somebody tries to enter in something that's not an integer, then it's going to throw this number format exception. Then I can go ahead and I can just print out a message. We'll do for now. Please enter a number. Okay? All right. So I should be able to compile this. Okay. And if I run it now. All right. So I'll say, I'm just going to type in garbage for this now so I don't have to waste time. Enter the video game year. Okay. So I'm going to try entering in, instead of entering in an actual year, I'm going to enter in monkey. Okay. And when I hit OK, see how I get the pop-up? It says, please enter a number. So in other words, it got an exception when it tried to do the integer.parseInt. It said, oh, that's not actually a number. So it threw this exception, and then I caught it right down here below it and says, okay, just display an error message. All right. Now the problem is that since I caught it, it's going to allow the program to continue. Okay. So it didn't give me a chance to go back and fix my mistake. It just immediately went to video game price. Okay, so whatever, 7. Okay, and now, of course, I get this illegal argument exception because it's complaining that year is less than 1970. The reason why is because year started out as 0 and never got set to anything else because it threw this error. Okay, so we're going to have to handle all of these different error situations. Okay. All right, so I think probably what we ought to do is we probably ought to wrap this code up in some kind of a loop, right? So that, in other words, we continue prompting the user, hey, you need to enter in a correct year before I'm even going to allow you to proceed, okay? So we could probably do something like this. Let's, just going to go ahead and add in like a Boolean flag for whether I'm done or not. I'm going to say, you're not done, okay? And then I'm going to wrap this entire try-catch block up here inside this, like a do loop. Okay, so we'll do a do-while loop. Okay, and then I can just say, well, I'm not done. Okay, because as long as done continues to be false, it's going to just keep doing this loop over and over again. Okay, well, how can I declare that I'm actually done? Okay. Well, I could just go ahead and right here, done equals true, okay? Because as long as I don't throw any kind of errors, right? As long as they enter in a proper integer, then year should be properly set, and then I can go ahead and mark that done, okay? So let's go ahead and test this part out. So if I save that and run it, okay, whatever for the name and publisher. All right, so for year, I'm going to try entering in blah. Okay, it says, please enter a number. And look, it prompts me again for the year. See, so it goes through because done never, let me move this out of the way. Done never had a chance to get set to true. Okay, I got here, I typed in blah, it threw the exception, so it printed out this error message and then immediately went back to the beginning of the loop and is trying to ask me for a year again. Okay, so I'll enter in another bad data. I'll enter in 9999999. So that is an integer. Okay. Well, no, actually, I'm going to wait to do that. So I'm going to just handle the number format one. So I'll just put in some text. And again, it says, please enter a number. Okay. So in this time, I guess I'll enter in a valid one. Okay, 1985. And now, because I entered in a correct year, and it accepted it, then done was marked true. Now it went on to the next item. Okay. So 987. All right. Okay. Now you see the program is still throwing exceptions. I'm getting something about how, what did this say? Price needs to be Yeah, okay, so this is the price needs to be between 10 and 70, okay? That error message is coming here from set price, okay? So in other words, I make it through this, and I parse out that large number, but then when I try and instantiate video game with that price of 9999999, okay, the constructor goes and calls set price, and that's where the check happens, and it says, all right, the number that I got was 9999999. That's not less than 10. It's not. It is greater than 70. So that's when I'm going to throw the exception. Okay, and we haven't actually handled catching that exception anywhere. Okay, so we can use a similar construction for price as we did right here. Okay, we can wrap this entire thing up here. So okay, I can go ahead and set done back to false. And then I can do double price equals 0.0. And then I can do a do. And I can do a try. Okay. And like that. Okay. And if I successfully don't run into any kind of number formatting exceptions, then I can go ahead and say that I'm done and break out of the loop. Okay, and I'll go ahead and just copy this so I don't have to retype it all. Okay, and okay, so we got price. Yeah, all right, so same deal. All right, so basically we have we've got this loop construct to continuously prompt the user for year, this loop construct to continuously prompt the program for price, and this code is basically forcing them to keep doing it until they enter in an actual number. If they try and enter something other than a number, punctuation or letters or something like that, then it's going to give them an error and ask them to do it again. Okay? Now, you notice we don't need to do that with name and publisher because these are just strings, so they could be anything. You know, the name could have numbers in it. I mean, there are games that have numbers as the title. Okay, so we don't need to really worry about that for name and publisher, but we do have to worry about it for year and price. Okay? All right, so now there's one last thing that we haven't handled. Okay? If I was to run this program again, okay, so make up a name, make up a publisher. All right, in this case, if I were to put in 1930, okay, it's going to say, all right, that was an acceptable year, 1930 is fine, okay. Then it's going to ask me for the price, and I'm going to enter in $1,000, okay, and then the program crashes, okay. So it's crashing because it's complaining about the year being too low, okay? The year can't be less than 1970, okay? So what I need to do is over in here, I need to actually wrap this thing in a try-catch block, okay? And catch. All right, now in this case, what I'm going to be catching is the illegal argument exception, okay? The number format exception stuff I dealt with up here. Now I'm going to catch the illegal argument exception, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I'll do JOptionPane.show message dialog. First argument is always null, and then all right, so in this case, instead of doing please enter a number, I'm going to enter in whatever the exception message was from whatever generated the exception, okay? So I can do e.getMessage. That's how you do that, okay? So e.getMessage will return, like it'll return this message. Price needs to be this, or it'll return this, depending on which, which method throws the exception, okay? So I should be able to compile this now. All right, and run it. Okay, so name, publisher. All right, now if I enter in an invalid year, so I'll enter in 1920 again. Okay, and I'll enter in a correct price for this one for right now, $50. Okay. Now, see how it says year can't be less than 1970? Okay, so that happened right here. Okay, now then the program just ends. Okay, so I got it to throw me this error, but I guess I want to keep looping and forcing them to enter in the things that they want. So here's how I'm going to handle that. All right, I'm going to take this video game object and I'm going to create it way up here at the top. Okay, so I'm going to do video game VG, and I'm going to use the empty argument constructor. All right, and as I collect each thing, I'm going to call the setter. Okay, so right here, I can just go ahead and do vg.setName, name. Okay, and for publisher, I can do vg.setPublisher. Publisher? Okay, and now in here, what I'll do is inside my loop and inside my try-catch block, this is where I can say, all right, now I'm going to go ahead and try and do vg.setYear, year. And if it throws any exceptions, okay, I can handle them right in here. So I'm going to add in another, I'm going to do a catch illegal argument exception. Okay, and I'll just steal this same code that I have down right here. Okay, oops, too many indents. Okay, so there. So now we have, now this loop is going to force the enter to type in a correct year before it'll even move you on to the next thing. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing with price. Okay, so we will go down in here. Okay, and we will say vg.setPrice, price. Okay, and then we'll just add in the same, all this. Same stuff goes right there. Okay. All right, and now because we did that, we don't actually need any of this code anymore. Okay, because we're creating the video game one item at a time. All right, each time, for each piece of data that we want, so like for this year data, we're going to keep looping, and if they try and type in text, we're going to handle that and make them redo it. If they try and type in an invalid argument that's generated by set year, so if they try, and type in 1910 or 1865, then when they try and call the setter's going to throw the exception. We're going to catch the exception right here, and we're going to print out a message, and then we're going to force them to keep trying. Okay, so let's go ahead and try that. All right, so video game name can be whatever we want. Publisher can be whatever we want. All right, so now for year, I'm going to try typing in poo. Okay, and it says, please enter a number, and it goes right back and says, enter in a year. I'm going to try poo again. Nope, enter a number. Sends me back. All right, fine. I'm going to enter in 1. The year can't be less than 1970. Makes me do it again. All right, fine. I'll try 3,000. Oh, it accepted 3,000. I guess 3,000 is a valid year. The only thing that it can't be is less than 1970. Okay, so same thing with price. I'm going to enter in poo. Please enter a number. Okay, free. Please enter a number. Okay, see, so I'm still stuck on this price. All right, I'm going to enter in an invalid price. I'm going to make it 9, bunch of 9s. The price needs to be between 10 and 70. Makes me redo it. Poo. Makes me redo it. Okay, so now I'll enter in a valid price, $65. Okay, and voila, I'm done. Okay. So now what that means is that I now have a video game object, VG, that has the parameters. It's got the name, it's got the publisher, it's got the year, okay? And it's got the price, and I can do now that with that object whatever I want to, So if I'm going to print out information about it, if I'm going to add it to some kind of, database or whatever, okay, that would be the next thing. But the point of this video is to just show you these are some useful constructs for how you can actually gather input from the user to populate things. And on your programming assignment, where you have to do the whole circle thing, you could do something very similar to this, okay, in order to collect the information that you need in order to build a circle object. Now, you're probably going to want to, instead of just doing this all in main, of course, you're going to want to split this up into, separate functions and things like that. And, maybe you could put a giant outer loop to continuously prompt the user to enter in more video games, right? There's any number of different ways you could do this. But basically what I wanted to do is just show you, like, okay, this is how you can collect input from the user. This is how you can do some of the error handling. And yeah, okay. All right, so if you have any questions, send me an email or leave a comment or whatever. Slam the like button, hit the subscribe button, all that other crap that YouTube people say. And that's all for now.